I mean, you can taste it right now. It's like we're in the middle of a campfire, you know, and the smoke keeps following you around and you get it in your mouth.
And he's not the only one feeling that way. You can see it and certainly smell it. A big fire at a paper mill in Longview has been burning for nearly 24 hours, and it's going to be a while before it's entirely out. Thank you for joining us. I'm Laurel Porter.
And I'm David Molko. The fire at the Nippon Dynawave packaging plant, along with wildfire smoke out of southern Oregon and another local blaze, have made it a really tough day when it comes to air quality all over our area. So let's begin with Thomas Schultz in Longview with an update on the progress there. Thomas.
Yeah, David and Laurel, a helicopter has been dumping buckets of water onto this fire throughout the day, hours at a time, dissipating much of those flames and smoke we've seen over the past 23 hours. But despite the progress, firefighters know that it's going to be a long process to extinguish this fire. Wednesday morning, a helicopter arrived to help extinguish a fire that has been roaring since 6:30 Tuesday evening. Around 45 firefighters worked throughout the night, successfully containing the fire to a pile of wood chips Wednesday morning. But now they're tasked with pulling apart the pile as soon as possible.
It's challenging and it's hazardous, and that's why we're taking our time and making sure that we have all the pieces in place before we really start getting in there and pulling it apart.
Longview Fire Marshal John Dunaway says visibility has been an issue in fighting this fire at the property most commonly known as the Weyerhaeuser Paper Company. Buildings are damaged, but they don't know how many or the damage caused by the fire. Spotters have also been assigned to watch the chip pile to ensure the fire doesn't spread in windy conditions. One resident we spoke with says smoke was pervasive at his home Tuesday night.
It's in your mouth, you taste it, you breathe it.
And now it's moving south.
The smoke's affecting my daughter 20 miles away.
An air pollution advisory has been released in Clark and Cowlitz County. Portland and Vancouver air was in an unhealthy category earlier Wednesday, but it has gotten better. And Multnomah County issued a burn ban Wednesday because of the poor air quality.
If you need an inhaler, stuff like that, you probably should be careful.
Other residents aren't as concerned about the air quality, but about neighbors' jobs.
It is going to affect the people who work over at the paper mills, you know.
Company officials say parts of the plant are still operational despite the fire ongoing. And now there haven't been any injuries, but firefighters say they don't yet know exactly when to expect this fire to be completely out. You can hear the helicopter actually dropping the water behind us right now. They don't know yet when it will be extinguished. All roads that were affected by the blaze are now back in operational. David, Laurel.
Sounds like a lot of work still to be done and a lot of progress already made. Thank you, Thomas. You may have noticed haze around Portland due to smoke from various fires and wildfires. Multnomah County now has a mandatory wood burning restriction in place as a result. There's also an air pollution advisory. Officials say vulnerable people like children and those with serious health conditions should limit time outside today. The wood burning restriction will be lifted when conditions improve.
That Longview industrial blaze was not the only fire that contributed to smoke and haze in the air. In northeast Portland, a fire gutted an old Kmart building at 122nd and Sandy. It sparked around 6:30 this morning. Take a look at this. With the plume of smoke then visible for miles, some even caught a glimpse of it from the air. Portland Fire and Rescue says they did a reverse 911 call to 50,000 phone numbers telling people to shelter in place and to close windows because the smoke was so bad. Firefighters will eventually able to put that out. No word there on the cause, but this particular building has a bit of a history, you might say. Since the Kmart closed, squatters have often broken in, and while the company that is now redeveloping the property wants to turn it into a freight warehouse, neighbors say no way.
Those kids will just be breathing diesel fumes all day long. And then they'll come to Park Road schools and play on the sports fields and be breathing diesel fumes all day long.
Prologis, the company that told KGW they still plan to build that freight warehouse. As for claims from neighbors that the warehouse would impact air quality, Prologis says they are committed to being a good partner in the community and plan to bring greener logistics infrastructure to Portland.
We are getting our first look at the arrest of the man authorities say has ties to 4 women whose bodies were found across our region in recent months. The arrest happened in broad daylight in Milwaukee. Let's bring in Mike Benner, who's been following this story for us for weeks now. And Mike, it is important to note this man has not been charged with any crimes connected to the deaths.
Yeah, that's right, Laurel. The Willamette Week identifies the man as Jesse Calhoun, and he was arrested back on June 6th on charges unrelated to the 4 deaths. Today, we got our hands on video of Calhoun's arrest. It all started at a gas station on Southeast McLaughlin in Milwaukee. Approximately a dozen undercover deputies in unmarked cars and with guns drawn moved in on Calhoun and his girlfriend as they were fueling up. We're told law enforcement fired at least one rubber bullet at Calhoun, who managed to get away. He ran across the street and jumped into the Willamette River. Calhoun eventually got tired and came back to shore, where he was taken into custody. A man who witnessed Calhoun's arrest agreed to speak to us as long as we did not show his face or share his name. Here's what he had to say.
I was like, I wonder what this guy did. It seems whatever he did was very, very important, or that required that much law enforcement effort, I should say.
So it's unclear exactly what Calhoun did, but according to the Multnomah County District Attorney's Office, Calhoun had ties to 4 women whose bodies have been found in recent months. 2 of those women are identified as Bridget Webster and Ashley Reel. In a recent interview with a YouTuber, Calhoun's current girlfriend said he had been in an on-again, off-again relationship with Reel, and he would give drugs to Webster in exchange for sex. The girlfriend did not know how Calhoun was connected to the other 2 victims. Calhoun is currently being held in the Snake River Correctional Institution in Eastern Oregon. His girlfriend has spoken to him in prison. She mentioned in that interview on YouTube that Calhoun did not really say anything about the deaths of the 4 women, only that he was roughed up during his arrest on those unrelated charges. David?
Thank you, Mike. Appreciate the update there. You know, this is a complicated story, and we continue to learn new details here every day. Now, the first of the 4 women was found dead back in February, though it was only this week that we learned about the potential link among those 4. Investigative reporter Evan Watson has a timeline of how it's all unfolded so far.
At this time, no charges have been filed in connection with the deaths of 4 women earlier this year. But investigators say they have at least one person of interest, and Jesse Calhoun is in custody. Here's the background of what we know now.
In June of 2021, Jesse Calhoun, who was serving time for burglary, car theft, and assaulting an officer, had his sentence commuted by then Oregon Governor Kate Brown. Brown was giving early release to inmates who helped fight wildfires in 2020. In July of 2021, Calhoun was released from custody. He was scheduled to get out in the summer of 2022. Now to this year. Police found Kristen Smith dead in Portland in February. She had been reported missing by her family in December. Charity Perry was found dead in East Multnomah County on April 24th. Bridget Webster was found dead in Polk County about a week later on April 30th. Then a week after that, Ashley Reel was found dead in Clackamas County. On June 4th, the Portland Police Bureau released a statement saying it had no reason to believe the deaths of these women were connected at that point. PPB said it was in contact with other law enforcement agencies to consider possible connections. Just 2 days later, on June 6th, Clackamas County deputies arrested Jesse Calhoun in Milwaukee for parole violations. On June 30th, Multnomah County District Attorney Mike Schmidt sent a letter to Governor Tina Kotek asking her to revoke Calhoun's commutation, which would make him serve the rest of his prior sentence. Kotek revoked Calhoun's commutation on July 3rd. Then, this week, investigators revealed they have found links between the deaths of Smith, Perry, Webster, and Reel. They said there is no active danger to the community at this time. Willamette Week published the first story identifying Calhoun as the potential serial killer.
There are still many unknowns here. The DA's office hasn't explained what exactly connects the deaths, plus we still don't have charges in these cases. But Calhoun is in custody at a state prison, with his earliest release date currently listed as June 9th of next year.
So many questions. Evan Watson there. If you've missed any coverage of these investigations, you can catch up on the cases and how this has all developed anytime on KGW.com. And of course, we will keep you updated.
On the Oregon coast, we recently had issues with cougars after one was spotted on the iconic Haystack Rock, forcing a temporary closure of Cannon Beach on Sunday. Well, Washington is also seeing problems with the big cats. A cougar attacked a dog by Lake Cushman today. That's just west of Seattle. Wildlife officials are now hunting for the cat. A team of hounds is also helping look for the cougar. Officials say if it's found, it will likely be killed. A woman who witnessed the attack says a man was walking his dog on a leash when it happened. She says the cougar came out of the woods and immediately grabbed the dog. She used an air horn to try to scare it away.
He had a hold of the dog's leash, and when the cougar grabbed the dog, it pulled him to the ground. So he was laying on the ground. And So that was kind of my other fear. If the cougar let go of the dog, he'd go after the next lowest thing, which was, yeah, it was pretty scary, actually.
The dog is okay. If you encounter a cougar, safety tips include don't run, make noise, and appear large. If attacked, fight back. And bear spray can also help deter them.